It's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. It's the 265th day of the year, and man, things have gotten active out there. We actually have a lot of weather to talk about today. Starting with today, we have a slight risk of severe weather over here in Oklahoma, portions of Texas, Kansas, and even Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. And then we've got a much larger marginal risk that goes from Milwaukee all the way down to Dallas, and then a secondary marginal risk of severe weather from Huntsville, Alabama, all the way up past Cleveland, up towards Buffalo, and even Toronto. Up here in Canada, we're going to see some severe weather today. But obviously, the focal point, the strongest storms today will occur around Lincoln, Nebraska, and north and west of Oklahoma City. So let's take a look at what the radar could look like today around noon. So a little bit after this video goes up. The first place that we're going to be watching is the Ohio Valley down into Arkansas for the potential for some scattered damaging wind gusts and maybe some small hail here and there. We're going to have strong storms working into Ohio, Louisville, Cincinnati, down there towards Clarksville, Tennessee. You guys might be getting a clap of thunder or three this morning or this afternoon, I should say. And then, of course, down here into Arkansas. This is round one of our severe weather today. I don't expect to see anything too terrible out of this, but we definitely could get some strong winds up here in Ohio. I definitely see the potential for some damaging winds around Columbus, up there towards Cleveland, Northeast Kentucky. How about you in Ashland, Moorhead, Lexington, Kentucky? Definitely watch out today between 3 and 6 p.m. for some stronger storms. Nashville, looks like you guys are going to miss the bulk of the action. But once these storms get past the Ohio River there between Ohio and West Virginia, our focus is going to very quickly shift back towards the west, okay? And this is our real main severe weather risk today. Over here around Lincoln, we're going to see some supercells popping up that are potentially going to bring about some very, very large hail into the Omaha area. Some similarly large storms could be popping up north of Des Moines over here in Iowa. And honestly, you can just kind of throw a dart at this map and there's a pretty good chance that somebody's going to see a thunderstorm today. There's over 100 million people under the risk for severe weather today. But once again, the main threat's going to be with those supercells that pop up there around Lincoln and Omaha, mainly for the threat for hail, and then a big time damaging wind threat late tonight into the early morning hours tomorrow with a mesoscale convective system that's going to race through northern portions of Oklahoma, southern portions of Kansas, between Oklahoma City and Wichita, and then barrel through Tulsa and Bartlesville tomorrow morning. Is this going to make it into northwest Arkansas? Potentially by 10 a.m. Tuesday morning, we could have some strong storms moving into Bentonville and Fayetteville. So, I mean, this is just kind of like a non-stop action-packed weather system that we're going to have starting right now, lasting well into the night, into the early morning hours tomorrow. And is it going to stop during the early morning hours tomorrow? No. In fact, we have another day two slight risk of severe weather from areas just north of Dallas up through southeastern Oklahoma into the heart of Arkansas. And this one actually is going to be a little bit more impactful because we're going to have that morning MCS that comes through as a result of the storms that started in northern Oklahoma the day before. But then during the heating of the day, we're going to see new supercells form behind that, and those are going to have the potential to carry large hail damaging winds and tornadoes. This is one of the more robust tornado risks we've had in a while down here. So Fort Smith, McAllister over towards Russellville, up towards Springdale and Fayetteville, get ready for a 5% probability of seeing a tornado during the storms tomorrow. Now remember, that brown area indicates a 5% probability of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of any given point. And let's kind of hone in on the radar here to show you what that might look like tomorrow. Once again, we're going to have that morning line of storms come through. It's going to hit Joplin potentially around 8 or 9 a.m. and then it'll hit Fort Smith around 10 or 11 or so. And you're going to think that that was the main storm system, but no. Watch what happens. Here we are at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Notice how we get new storms that are forming behind that line. These storms are going to be supercells, and they are really going to have some dynamics to work with to potentially produce tornadoes. So I'm concerned about our friends over here between Bentonville and Fayetteville. I'm concerned about, even areas down there towards Fort Smith, maybe even as far south and east as into Little Rock. Look at this supercell the HRRR is painting here south and east of Russellville around 6 p.m. tomorrow. If that was actually legit, we would probably see some very large hail and maybe a tornado or two out of that. And then, of course, as we go into the evening, things are going to turn into more multicellular clusters of storms, more linear type storms, and the damaging wind threat's going to be the main thing. So definitely keeping an eye on this area right here. When those supercells first start popping up, that's when we're going to have the best chance for a tornado. And that's also when we're going to have the best chance for a potential live stream stream tomorrow. That's right. It's possible that we go live. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications on, and don't be scared. Be prepared, because it's going to be a long night of storms. It's going to start early in the morning. It's going to last all day, and it looks to me like there's a boundary that's setting up here that's not going to allow it to stop. Now, the tornado threat's going to calm down by 8, 9, 10 p.m., but the persistent heavy rain threat's going to continue, and this is good news because we're experiencing a little bit of a drought out here, but this is going to quickly result in some flash flooding, and we're about to dive so much deeper into that. But first, let's shout out today's awesome sponsor. Delete Me, your personal data is yours again. You know, I'm on the internet more than I probably should be, but here's the thing: the more you're online, the more your personal info ends up getting out there too, and it's not just social media. Data brokers are out there collecting and selling stuff like your name, your address, phone number, and even info about your relatives. Anybody with a daggone credit card can buy it. That's kind of scary. That's why I use today's sponsor, Delete Me. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that removes your personal information from hundreds of data broker and people search sites, helping lower the risks of scams, phishing, and harassment, or even worse. They've been experts in data removal for over 15 years. And unlike some other services, Delete Me's privacy experts actually verify your data is on the site before they remove it. And they don't outsource it. They handle it themselves. They will scrub you off these sketchy sites, your name, your phone number, your email, and all that stuff you don't want floating out there. So here's the deal, y'all. You're going to get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/Ryan Hall. That's joindeleteme.com/Ryan Hall. Make sure you use the code Ryan Hall at checkout or scan this QR code right here. You will be one step closer to being more secure online. Don't wait until your data ends up in the wrong hands. Join Delete Me today. Now, let's get back into the video. We have a WPC slight risk of excessive rainfall for Tuesday into Wednesday from Tulsa over to Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Springfield, Little Rock, Jonesboro. You guys are all included. And once again, we're going to have that first line of storms come through, then supercells, and then a persistent boundary, all kind of lining up over the same areas, bringing heavy rainfall over the next 36 to 48 hours. And really, over the next 3 days, we're going to have a drenching rainfall event from Kentucky down through Tennessee into Arkansas. I see lots of areas that could see 4 to 7 inches of rain over the next 3 days, specifically between Fort Smith and Memphis. And there's another hotspot that I'm seeing over here on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky where we could definitely see some flash flooding near the Daniel Boone National Forest. So get ready. Nashville up to Lexington, Clarksville back to Memphis, Jonesboro over to Fort Smith. It's going to be a rainy 2 or 3 days. Get ready for persistent thunderstorms and flash flooding risks. It's about to get really active. It's been quiet. We're all asleep. It's time to wake up. And speaking of waking up, my goodness, have the tropics awoken in the Atlantic. Here is Hurricane Gabrielle out there in the Atlantic with 92-mile-per-hour winds. By the time this video goes up, we're probably talking about a Category 2, 110-mile-per-hour hurricane out here east of Bermuda. The good news with this one is it's going to be a fish storm. It really doesn't look like it's going to impact anybody anytime soon, okay? So it's recurving away from land. But my goodness, look at this. We've got a tomato and an orange out here in the Atlantic for the potential for new storms to form in the very near future. In fact, we've got a 70% chance that this disturbance right here is going to turn into another tropical system within the next 7 days. And then we've got another area that we're watching over here, very close to the Caribbean, with a 40% chance, a medium chance of tropical depression or tropical storm forming within this bounds over the next 7 days. So we're going to have an increase in severe weather over the next week, and also a very significant increase in tropical weather to keep track of here. And it looks like whatever forms right in here is probably going to be a problem, especially in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, maybe even up towards the southeastern United States. Let's take a look at the latest GFS model. You can see Gabrielle up here east of Bermuda. That's going to rocket off to the north and east up towards the North Atlantic Ocean. And then we've got to watch our other waves, okay? You can see one coming together really quickly here between Florida and the Bahamas and San Juan. Friday, September 26th, we might be talking about a named system out here that we have to keep a very close eye on. Now, the good news is we've got so much going on in the States here. We've got so much troughing going on that there's a pretty good chance that, similar to like a baseball swing, anything that comes up towards the United States is going to get swatted away. But how close is it going to be allowed to get before it gets swatted away? That's the question. If we actually get a storm like this that the GFS is promoting, this will be a pretty impactful situation for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, maybe even portions of the Mid-Atlantic, and especially up there towards the Northeast, even if it just grazes the coast like this. But that's just one potential situation. There's a million different things that could happen, and it's kind of too early to try to narrow it down. But man, things are really going to get active out there. Look at this. The GFS shows another storm forming in the Caribbean, potentially turning into something major down here south of Florida by Monday, October 6th. So it's too early to talk about details, but just know that we've got a lot of activity building up in the Atlantic, and that's going to become a focus of ours over the next week or two. All right, that's all the weather talk I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If I don't go live today, which I probably won't, there's a better chance tomorrow. Today is the perfect kind of day to watch YALLBOT. 24/7, it's relaying reports and warnings out there, and you can actually, we've got it set up now to where you can send in a photo to YALLBOT and it'll show it on air. Honestly, it's getting better every day, so check out the YALLBOT 24/7 channel. I'm going to be on standby, but I'll also be on standby tomorrow, and I think that's when we have the better chance of actually going live with storm chasers on the ground and all that good stuff. But yeah, don't be scared, be prepared, and make sure you check out our sponsor at the top of the description. We couldn't do this without them, so thank you guys for always supporting the people that support us, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.